Thanks, everyone, for joining us today for this pre-recorded webinar on finding great candidates for your great open positions. We're excited to talk to you about generating candidates. We hear from a lot of folks that it's hard enough to hire people when you can't even find the great ones to interview. I'm Allison Abayasekara, the Director of Training and Technical Assistance at the Association of Clinicians for the Underserved, and I will be your cruise director today for this very exciting topic. We do have an exciting agenda, and today we're going to cover kind of four major things. The first one is going to be just general workforce resources about this topic and all things recruitment and retention. You found this webinar, so that's a great site to start, and that you already know where to look, but we're going to just cover that briefly. Then we're really going to talk about defining your need, taking a step back to look at what you're looking for in a candidate. We're going to talk about creating a plan, and that's whether or not you're a one-person shop or you have a team of people. We want to explore the benefits of having a real plan associated with searching for candidates. And then last, certainly not least, and I know the most exciting part for all of you, is posting your position, looking at national, state, and local resources and locations for you to post your jobs and openings and increase the great number of candidates that are really great fits for your open positions. So without further ado, here we are, the STAR Center. I mentioned I was from the Association of Clinicians for the Underserved, ACU, and we have a health center workforce project called the STAR Center, Solutions, Training, and Assistance for Recruitment and Retention. The STAR Center is funded by the Bureau of Primary Health Care through a national cooperative agreement to provide resources, training, and technical assistance to health centers to help them address their workforce challenges. Now, we're just one of an entire network of other national cooperative agreements, and I encourage you to look into who those people are and how they can assist you. But we are the only one focused on clinician recruitment and retention. So you can find all the information on our project at chcworkforce.org, where you are right now. And I'll also just give you now a quick rundown on all the things that are available to you on this site to help you with things like generating candidates. So here's a list of just some of our current resources that are hosted in our free resource center. We have about 150 documents from about 60 different organizations, but I want to draw your attention to a few items. The first is a self-assessment tool. That's in our resource center on the bottom of the page. It's also in the link that will be with these slides online. That's just a great planning tool for your entire team to look at what your recruitment and retention process really is today to make sure everyone's on the same page about what that is. The next is the best practice form, also available on the front page of the Resource Center. Are you doing something great that you want to brag about and help other health centers learn about? Share it here. We're collecting an entire library of successful practices at health centers related to their workforce efforts, and we want to make sure that folks that are doing great work like you are included. And last but certainly not least is the newsletter. You can sign up for that on chcworkforce.org, the main page, and get monthly updates about what's new and what's happening at the STAR Center. We also have training. We are doing a monthly webinar series. Last month we talked about behavioral interviewing. Next month we're going to talk about stay interviews. And really you can hear all about recruitment and retention topics for free. So please go ahead and sign up for that through our website. We also have things like these video tutorials that you're listening to now, and we'll be doing in-person trainings at Primary Care Association conferences. We also have that personalized technical assistance. Hit that Contact Us button at the top of the chcworkforce.org page. Call us, email us, send us smoke signals, let us know that you want to chat with somebody, and especially as follow-up to this webinar, and let us know. We're here to help you. So that's it for resources. I'll stop about the general stuff. I know you're here to hear about generating candidates, so let's do that. So we want to first start with defining your need. I know the immediate instinct is to just say, so where else can I post this job, or how can I get the word out about this job? But we really want to start at the beginning and encourage you to examine how you're defining your need in both what kind of candidate you want and what kind of job you are offering. So I know a lot of you out there are often recruiting for multiple positions on short notice, and doing a lot of this pre-planning work can be really burdensome or feel really burdensome. But the more that you can think of this as a specific position waiting for the right person, the better your long-term retention is going to be, and the less often you're going to have to recruit for this position. So this part of the process is part of your workforce strategic plan with your team, and it's going to be important later to increasing your visibility and increasing the number of candidates that are a good fit. So just remember, this is about finding the best fit for the position and for your organization, not just choosing the best applicant from the pool of people who happen to apply. So how do we start that process? Well, first, we want you to look at what makes an ideal candidate. Think about all the qualities and knowledge you would want from a candidate for this exact position in your exact organization, and think about all different facets. Think about clinical. So I have up here on this slide wound care, but that's just an example. What extras would the right person have to excel at this job in your community and add to your health center? Is there a specific chronic disease in your patient population that you would want them to be more trained in? Are you in a rural area and having things like wound care would be really helpful? Think about all those clinical elements that are going to be helpful for you long term with someone. Next, think more about the administrative experience and kind of the non-clinical, non-training skills that the right person would have to excel at this job and to add to your health center. So do you need an EHR champion for your new or changing system? Will this new person need to supervise other clinicians or teams of people? What other administrative or leadership skills or expertise would the ideal candidate have? Think about that, write it down, put that as part of your ideal candidate list. And then also think about your interests. Given your patient population, would you be able to offer research opportunities? Do you have non-traditional benefits that would support things like mission trips for people interested in that? Think for this section about some things that are specific to your site and to your community that could create opportunities for the right candidate. What are those opportunities and what kind of person would want to take you up on those? And then finally, we always want to think about personality. You really want to think about how this person fits into your health center, not just fits into the job. So this is a great time to talk with the entire workforce team, all the people involved in hiring, and as well as the team that this person's going to fit into, this new candidate, and see what they think. What are they envisioning for this person? What kind of person do they want to be part of their team? What skills do they wish their new colleague would have? All those things. This is a great time to increase buy-in and excitement for having a new person in this role. And it's a great time for you to get a good handle on what kind of person is the ideal person for this job. So now that you've thought about your ideal candidate, it's time to think about what makes your position ideal. So for this task, you want to think about the strengths and the weaknesses of both your organization and your community. So first, look at the strengths. What are the great things about your community? Think about things like amenities, community events, recreational opportunities, etc. And then think about what are all the great things about your organization specifically. Is it your flexible schedules or your team culture or your benefits? What are all the great things that are specific to your organization and your community? And then you do want to also take a look at some of those weaknesses. So where are some places that your community might be lacking for some people? Maybe it's school systems, maybe it's access to shopping, maybe it's affordable housing if you're in a big city. What are some things that would be a challenge for a new candidate? And in general at your organization, what are some areas that could use improvement? Is it maybe number of admin support team members? Maybe you need new equipment. Look at all of those different kinds of things. And then finally, you want to look at the strategies to maximize those strengths and minimize those weaknesses. Let's say, you do have limited shopping access in your area. Can you do what some health centers have done, which is give everybody free membership to Amazon Prime so that they have access to good shopping and they don't feel that they're suffering in any way for that. Think now about what strategies make your health center more attractive to work at before you even go ahead and post this job. Then after all this, you want to circle back to the question of the candidate. Does a picture emerge of who would most enjoy the benefits and would be least affected by the weaknesses at your community and your site? Maybe it's somebody with, with young kids would love working at your community, or maybe it's somebody who's retired and doesn't have kids in the school system. See if there's any kind of ideal candidate that merges with the sketch you've already drawn out. This is going to help you clarify, again, where you should be looking and what a great fit is going to be for your organization. So now that you've done all that work, last but not least, you do want to develop a process for assessing candidates against these defined needs. So you should consider coming back to your wish list and your organizations, your plans, during all steps of the hiring and interview process, during the screening, during interview, during final decision. Remember, you want to make sure you're hiring for the right fit, not just the best person who happens to come through. And doing all this planning and definition work as a team ahead of time is going to make sure that you do that. Okay, moving on to creating an advertising plan. So you've done the work, you've come up with a clear vision for what your position is and what kind of person you want to fill it, so we can talk about what your plan is actually to get the word out. So I've said it before, and I'll say it again, creating and following and assessing a plan for the recruitment process will really help you maximize successes and minimize wasted time. And I know that's what you all want. So let's look at some of the details there. The writing matters. I'm saying that to you as a former recruiter for health centers, but also as a reformed English major. The writing really matters. It can be tempting to just use a generic physician or nurse practitioner or physician assistant, whatever post that you've used before, but this is really the time to use the specifics. The highly qualified candidates you want can basically go anywhere that they want. What is particularly interesting or special about your posting versus the 30 others that they're going to see that day, that minute? So use the specifics of your community and the organization that you already identified in that first step to fill out your postings and attract people interested in those specifics. So you also want to take the time at this step to write out 2 to 3 different postings of varying length and detail. We've spoken to people who've said, oh, well, I had a general idea, but then when I went to go fill it out on this great site, they wanted it in a different format and I got stuck. So don't let the writing part stop you later in the process. You can do it now while you're in the writing zone. And this is just going to save you trouble later when you're ready to post, and different sites are going to have different requirements. And as a final step for preparing your posting, you want to check those next steps, that whatever next steps you have that are listed for candidates. Make sure that those next steps are going to be satisfying, they're going to be exciting, and they're not going to be frustrating. So different frustrating things for candidates are when it takes me to a website that's old, or if I have a long wait, it gives me a general health center number, and I don't get to talk to the HR person, and I have to leave a message, and I don't know when anyone's going to call me back. So think about what's going to be a great follow-up first impression for you. Can you give a direct dial number? Can you indicate anywhere how long they can expect to wait before they hear back from someone? Is there a hiring page on your website that gives good information that they can follow up on? Is there a form? Put yourself really in the candidate's shoes and make sure that you yourself would want to take that first step of clicking contact. And again, last but certainly not least, you really want to develop an advertising schedule and documentation plan so that you can keep track of which avenues are yielding good candidates and when you need to refresh the postings. We see a lot of old, outdated postings out there on the web, and so you want to make sure that yours are scheduled and organized. You know what you put when you put it. And you also are keeping track as people come in of where the good ones are coming from. Maybe there are some sites that you get a lot of hits on, but they're not really ideal candidates versus, a second site that you post that has a smaller number of people come through, but you end up always wanting to talk to those people. So really keep track of what's working and what's not working, and for which positions, so that you can use that information in future to really, again, minimize the effort that you have to put in, but maximize your return. Okay, finally, after the annoying strategic planning part, we can get to the action part of where to post your openings. So I'm going to cover some big sections of focus, really focused kind of on physicians, nurse practitioners, and physician assistants. But the sections I give you are going to help you focus on what kinds of places to look. And again, we at the STAR Center are waiting here to answer questions if you have follow-up. So a big thing to mention here is that diversity is important in terms of where and how you post your jobs. You want to cast a wide but not a random net, and by looking at very specific national, state, and local options for postings. So we will start big and start with that national options designed to attract clinicians who may be coming from anywhere from the country. So a lot of these spots are about regular maintenance and making sure you stay fresh and specific. So as you listen to this, even if you think, oh yeah, I think we have something there, make sure to write it down and go back and look and see, oh, when was the last time this was actually updated and what does it say? Does it have any real specifics, or is this a generic, physician posting? So you really want to start with locations focused on underserved communities. I'll start with the National Health Service Corps. I know you've all heard it from 1,000 people, but I just want to remind you, please, 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 please have a current up-to-date NHSC job site profile and any current listings. Sometimes people get stuck up on the process. The link here that will be in the attached slides, that will take you to the FAQs for how to make sure that you have an up-to-date profile. And again, even if you think, oh, well, my health professional shortage area score, my HPSA score, is not high enough for me to have low room payment or a scholar, so I'm not going to post it on the National Health Service Corps. I'd say don't be a fool, my friends. Lots of people who are interested in underserved opportunities go through this job board, so even if you may not have a high enough score to access certain NHSC benefits, this is still going to be a place of high visibility for the kinds of candidates that you're going to attract. They also have virtual job fairs as well that are great to take advantage of. So please check out the National Health Service Corps. Also encourage you to check out 3RNet. The link here will take you to their main site. There is one organizational member in each state who handles the job postings for that state. It's all a little bit different, but if you click on that organizational members list, you can find out who the contact is in your state and reach out to them and say, hey, how do I get my open positions posted here? 3RNet does host this national job board, but then staff members and other people representing 3RNet will travel to job fairs and other places to spread the word about the job board and thus all postings on the job board, no matter the state. They are a great partner of ours, certainly, and have a lot of good opportunities for you, so make sure you're connected with the 3RNet member in your state. Now I'm going to move to journals. So again, you want to think specifically of what kind of clinician you're trying to attract. I've included the New England Journal of Medicine's Career Center. This is a paid focus. You can usually negotiate it down considering you're underserved, and they have salespeople that you can talk to directly about that. But they do cool things like they post relevant jobs near content articles. So as you all know, New England Journal of Medicine is a great place that a lot of clinicians go to read about updates, clinical updates. And so if they happen to be looking at a psychology article, then next to it will be a psychiatrist job ad. So that has some cool features, and encourage you to check that out. You also, again, want to look at journals of academies and other associations for the clinician type. I included here a link to the Journal of the American Academy of Physician Assistants. This is an online journal, but also they have job opportunities there. So again, think about who you're specifically hiring for and where are they going to go to get just general news and updates. Next, you want to look at associations. So the American Academy of Family Physicians has this career link. The link is in the slides here. They do lots of job postings. They also do residency fairs and other kinds of activities. They have local chapters. They're great to get involved in and post your jobs. Again, the AAFP is where a lot of family physicians are going to go, and same for AA and NP. That's the American Association of Nurse Practitioners. Again, think of what kind of clinician do I have, where are they going to go to get information specific to their discipline and job, and how can I get involved in that. Continuing the national outreach, we also have the general job sites. I included just a couple, Indeed and Monster. I know some health centers have had good luck with that. Some health centers even use Craigslist. Really, it kind of depends what's going to work in your area. So these are just examples, but I would encourage you to, at the beginning of this process, if you don't already have statistics for this, kind of cast a wide net here and use a lot of them, and then track which ones are better for which kinds of disciplines as part of your advertising plan that I mentioned earlier. Then you'll know, hey, I can always get these kinds of people on Monster and always these kinds of people on Indeed. Let me figure out where to post this. I've also included here, the last bit for national outreach, some information specific to physician recruitment. These are both paid opportunities, but the PCAs, primary care associations, and other health centers we know that have used them have reported success. So we wanted to make sure to get that back out to you. Practice Link has a variety of tools that you can use to recruit, and they also provide access to job seekers through their database. People have used it with great success, and there's different levels of use that you can use with different costs, so we encourage you to check that out. Also look into CareerMD. They also have candidate databases, but we've heard the most positive reviews about their job fairs. So there are different job fairs around the country with different kinds of response. We encourage you to look into a job fair that's close to you and see what kind of the reviews are. Talk to us, ask us questions, talk to health centers in your area, talk to your primary care associations and say, hey, have you heard anything? Look around and ask for recommendations, especially physicians. There's these kinds of sourcing companies that can be helpful. Okay, so that's just to get you started. Again, you want to kind of look at all different kinds of things, underserved area, journals and associations where your clinicians are going to be anywhere, anyway, and then job sites and sourcing companies for people who are actively looking for jobs. That's for your national outreach, to look for any clinicians anywhere who might happen to want to come to your site. But we also now want to go down a level and talk about state outreach. So this is going to be for clinicians that are already living in your state or maybe a nearby state. We'll see how creative you get where you are located geographically. But to really get involved with state resources, again, for both passive recruitment for people, for clinicians who might just go places to get information and see your job, and then active recruitment for clinicians who are actively seeking jobs. Now, your primary care association, many primary care associations have some kind of job board, career center. Some have workforce recruiters. It's all going to depend on your state. We've included here a link to all the PCAs. If you are not connected with your PCA, please do so for a number of reasons, not just workforce, but get connected with their job boards and their workforce assistants. We also encourage you to create programs with residency and training programs. The link here is for a listing of all the family practice residency programs in the country, but also, as you know, there are state training programs, nurse practitioners, PAs, all different types of clinicians, dental, etc. So starting early and developing relationships with those programs so that clinicians that pass through those training and residency programs have some familiarity with who you are and why you are a great place to work. That's really going to start building you a pipeline for recruitment ongoing, even if you can't do things like have rotations. Just having that relationship where you go in regularly, they know who you are, they know you're an option, that can be very helpful. Then we'd also encourage you to get involved in state chapters and associations of medicine. So each state is going to be different in terms of what kinds of governing boards, but also, you know, I mentioned the national thing, which is the American Academy of Family Physicians. They have state chapters. And a lot of times the state chapters of various kinds of medicines and discipline have events, in-person events. They have their own job boards. They have newsletters. They have all different kinds of information sharing. There's lots of networking involved there. So getting involved with kind of the state level, community level conversation of clinicians in that discipline is going to be helpful for, again, generating interest and word about your organization, but also your opening. So these are a little less specific in terms of links, but they're going to get you started in terms of what kinds of places you should be looking to connect with in your state. And certainly not least, we want to talk about that local outreach. And this is sometimes, it can be really surprising to people how great the yields are here. There's lots of different ways to connect with people who are in your community, not just clinicians, but families or friends that have ties to your community and want that person to come back. You know, people who have aunts that really, really, really want their nieces and nephews to move back to the area and will be looking for jobs and sending them information. These are the kinds of people who would want to come and stay in your area because they have ties there. And so getting some local outreach here is important as well. So first you want to look at community publications. Every city, town, municipality, etc. is different, but definitely look at those local avenues. You know, even if it's small ads in a local community newspaper or a neighborhood magazine or whatever the case may be, getting the word out to people who live in that area and may know somebody who wants to also live in that area can be really effective. You also want to do things like reach out to religious institutions. Some of them have job boards, some of them feature information in their bulletins, all different kinds of religions, whatever you can find in your area who would be helpful to this process. Again, these are people who are rooted in your community who could bring people that want to stay in your community. Some health centers do in-house kind of referral incentives. So if you work at the health center and you refer somebody who they end up hiring, you do get some kind of incentive bonus. That's a great way to maximize your staff and people who are local to say, hey, I know of somebody who might be a good fit. There's all different ways to do that. And then you also want to think about your community-specific features. Now, again, we want to think back to that beginning section where we said, okay, what's great about my community? And so let's say you're in a rural area and you have great fly fishing in your area. So you want to think about, okay, if my community is a place that has great fishing, I want to attract a fisher person. And so are there any fishing magazines, either local, state, or national, that I can put my ads in? It's a little bit unconventional, but it will really, again, tie into your community and your organization specifically and be something that not a lot of people see. So think about the things that are specific to your community and where would people go to learn about those other things that then they can see, oh, there's an opening at this place. Hey, I could live there and fly fish all year round. How delightful. So really think again about specifics. And we are here to help you to talk through some of those issues and give you some fresh ideas on that as well. Again, just hit the Contact Us button and we're a phone call away. So just to recap here, I want to reiterate that strategic planning will help you. It's not necessarily a part of the HR function at the beginning. It should really be part of your workforce team, talking about kind of what the specific need is and how you're going to find the right person. You really want to focus on what makes you different in your postings. Make sure that this is not just generic, that you're attracting the kind of people that are going to be a good fit and that make your community sound appealing. And then you want to think broad and deep for those postings, hit the national, state, and local levels, as well as include specifics and other kinds of outreach that are specific to your community. So that's it for us today. Thanks so much for joining on this pre-recorded webinar. We're just a phone call away, and please get in touch anytime. Thank you very much.